All right, RPG Day 27, a game that I want a new edition of. And for me, a lot of the games, I don't really feel like there's any issues with the current editions or anything I want changed. I think if I were to choose anything, I'd probably choose Vampire the Masquerade, the 5th edition book, and the only modification, because the system looks really solid to me, but then again, I haven't played it yet. But what I would change is just all the artwork. I think the Vampire the Masquerade book, for Vampire in the World of Darkness, it's got a very strong LARP background, where a lot of people will live action role play and do costumes and stuff. And so all the artwork is a lot more, like there's a lot of almost like photography art in it, which is a little jarring for me because I'm expecting most of my RPGs to have artwork by, drawn by artists. So if I were to just put an answer out there for a new edition, I'd probably say that, and just to redo the artwork with something that I find more appealing. But again, that's personal preference too. So otherwise, I don't really have a good answer. I think a lot of the games that I like, I'm enjoying a lot, and I don't really think they need a new edition. I just ran Black Hack, the 2nd edition, for the first time, and that was like a play test. And I found the armored dice really funky and really not explained very well. So I guess I could put that out there as a rules tweak or clarification, but I don't think that necessarily warrants a new edition. I think Black Hack 2nd edition just came out recently. I could be wrong about that too. But anyways, enough talking. I will see you for day 28, which is today, Monday. Good morning, it's RPG Day 28, and of course today's actually the 30th, so I am forever behind. But the 28th question is the scariest game that I've played. And of course there's the RPG games like Mothership and Call of Cthulhu, Delta Green, Alien. All of those games are geared towards the horror genre, where you're fighting the mythos, or you're fighting something that you don't understand, or they're aliens that are immensely more powerful than you, or just you're not suited to fight things. It's not an action game, it's more of a horror game. So any of those four, I'd say, are probably the ones that I know about that are horror-esque. And out of all the ones that I've played from those, I think probably Alien. I really haven't played the other 3 games much, the ones that I mentioned, but Mothership is definitely, from what I've seen, can be very scary. Alien was very scary when I played it. I played one trilogy game. And then Call of Cthulhu has the definite potential, but I don't think I really associate it with horror as much as it's probably known for. I think of it more as a game where it's more period setting, and then who knows what could happen in the games. I really haven't played Call of Cthulhu that much, though. I think what makes a game really scary for me, or what I think is for people in general, is when you're really invested into your characters. Because the more you love your character, the more you're in a situation as them, the more you feel kind of what they're feeling, and you feel maybe the worry. So if you get into a situation kind of out of your control and you really love your character, then you can start to feel the fear for what's going to happen to your character, because you don't want them to die. You love that character. You don't want them to get devoured or run out of air and die in space, or whatever the situation is. It could be a D&D game it could be you're fighting something and the GM pulls out something really like, let's say you're fighting a dragon. There was just a great RPG Day story by the dungeon tutor about how his characters, one of his high-level D&D characters, went up against a lair of an adult, or like an ancient red dragon, and it was a really tough fight because he played the dragon really smart. And so if you're in a situation like that and you're the player and you've put 17 levels worth of gaming into your character or whatever, and you're facing the possibility that this might be it, that's when you start to be afraid, because then the game is real. It's not just you're reading a book or you're playing on easy mode. If you feel like you might die in this encounter, that's when games get scary. and then talking about like investment into your character, the more that you believe your character in your character, and the more you've connected with them and built stories around them. Like for me in Adam's game that he ran for the Colonial Gothic 1976, my character, the one-legged marksman sharpshooter Graham White, his son was a teenager and wound up being kind of like a Minuteman and going with them, using the follower resource and the ubiquity system. But we were in an encounter, we were taking over a fort, and it looked like we kind of had everything squared away, and we kind of all started to go into the buildings and stuff to kind of clear them out and see what we could find. And the fight wasn't really done, and so my character's boy, Walter, he was still up on the battlements, kind of keeping a guy prisoner. He had his musket out, and then more redcoats started to come out, because, this is period drama. This is the British are the bad guys. So they started coming down with a bunch of more troops, and he was all alone. And I remember in that moment, me as the player, I was scared. I was like, my character's boy, he's all alone out there. What's going to happen? And Walter got shot, and he died. And Graham and myself and the table, we were just kind of like stunned. We were like, this is really intense. And my poor character's boy, he was killed in that game. And that was really a scary moment. And it didn't have a happy ending. It was a really, really good game. And one of my favorite moments in RPGs was that moment. But stuff like that, when you're really invested, you have stories, you have in character, you've got kids, and stuff happens to them. That can be a really scary game. So, if the question is talking about just RPG systems, which I think probably I'd say I'd expect Mothership to be the answer for that. But I haven't played Mothership. But if it's talking about what the scariest game is that I've played, it might be that one, because there was a lot of fear at that table. I was really worried about Walter, and those worries, they were for a reason. So anyways, day 28, I will see you probably later, because I've got to go.